Cher, born Cherilyn Sarkisian on May 20, 1946, is an American singer, actress, and television personality. Often referred to by the media as the goddess of pop, she has been described as embodying female autonomy in a male-dominated industry. She is known for her distinctive contralto singing voice, for having worked in numerous areas of entertainment, and for adopting a variety of styles and appearances. Cher rose to fame in 1965 as one half of the folk-rock husband-wife duo Sonny and Cher before releasing her first solo top 10 singles Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down, and You Better Sit Down Kids. Throughout the 1970s, she scored the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves, Half Breed, and Dark Lady, becoming the female solo artist with the most #1 singles in U.S. history at the time. After her divorce from Sonny Bono in 1975, Cher released the successful disco album Take Me Home, 1979. Her music career revival in the late 1980s saw the releases of rock-inflected albums Cher, 1987, Heart of Stone, 1989, and Love Hurts, 1991, all of which yielded hit singles such as I Found Someone, If I Could Turn Back Time, and Save Up All Your Tears. Cher reached a new commercial peak in 1998 with the dance pop album Believe, which featured pioneering use of autotune to distort her vocals, known as the Cher effect. The title track became the #1 song of 1999 in the US and the best-selling single of all time by a female artist in the UK. She continued to make music, with the albums Closer to the Truth, 2013, and Dancing Queen, 2018, both debuting at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and becoming her highest-charting solo albums in the U.S. Cher became a television personality in the 1970s with her CBS shows The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour, watched by over 30 million viewers weekly during its 3-year run, and The Namesake Cher. In 1982, she made her Broadway debut in the play Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, and starred in its film adaptation. Cher subsequently garnered critical acclaim for her performances in films such as Silkwood, 1983, Mask, 1985, and Moonstruck, 1987, the last of which won her the Academy Award for Best Actress. She contributed to the soundtrack for her next film, Mermaids, 1990, which spawned the UK #1 single The Shoop Shoop song, It's in His Kiss, and made her directorial debut with a segment in the abortion-themed anthology If These Walls Could Talk, 1996. During the 2010s, Cher landed starring roles in the films Burlesque, 2010, and Mamma Mia. Here We Go Again, 2018. Having sold 100 million records, Cher is one of the world's best-selling music artists. Her accolades include a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, a Grammy Award, an Emmy Award, an Academy Award, 3 Golden Globe Awards, a Cannes Film Festival Award, the Billboard Icon Award, and awards from the Kennedy Center Honors and the Council of Fashion Designers of America. She is the only solo artist to date to have a #1 single on a Billboard chart in 7 consecutive decades, from the 1960s to the 2020s. Her 2002 to 2005 Living Proof, The Farewell Tour, became the highest-grossing concert tour by a female artist ever at the time, earning $250 million US, equivalent to $390 million in 2023. Aside from music and acting, she is noted for her trend-setting, elaborate outfits, political views, social media presence, philanthropic endeavors, and social activism, including LGBT rights and HIV/AIDS prevention. Life and career. 1946 to 1961, early life. A black and white photograph of a young, dark-haired girl looking at the camera and smiling. Cher in high school, 1960. Cherilyn Sarkisian was born in El Centro, California, on May 20, 1946. Her father, John Sarkisian, was an Armenian-American truck driver with drug and gambling problems. Her mother, Georgia Holt, born Jackie Jean Crouch, was a former model and retired actress who claimed Irish, English, German, and Cherokee ancestry. Her paternal grandparents were survivors of the Armenian genocide. Cher's father was rarely home when she was an infant, and her parents divorced when Cher was 10 months. Her mother later married actor John Southall, with whom she had another daughter. Georgianne, Cher's half-sister. Moving to Los Angeles, Cher's mother began acting while working as a waitress. She changed her name to Georgia Holt and played minor roles in films and on television. Holt also secured acting parts for her daughters as extras on television shows like The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Her mother's relationship with Southall ended when Cher was 9 years old, but she considers him her father and remembers him as a good-natured man who turned belligerent when he drank too much. Holt remarried and divorced several more times, and she moved her family around the country, including New York, Texas, and California. They often had little money, and Cher recounted having had to use rubber bands to hold her shoes together. At one point, her mother left Cher at an orphanage for several weeks. Although they met every day, both found the experience traumatic. When Cher was in 5th grade, she produced a performance of the musical Oklahoma for her teacher and class. She organized a group of girls, directing and choreographing their dance routines. Unable to convince boys to participate, she acted the male roles and sang their songs. By age 9, she had developed an unusually low voice. Fascinated by film stars, Cher's role model was Audrey Hepburn, particularly due to her role in the 1961 film Breakfast at Tiffany's. Cher began to take after the unconventional outfits and behavior of Hepburn's character. She was also inspired by Marlene Dietrich, Bette Davis, and Katharine Hepburn. She was disappointed by the absence of dark-haired Hollywood actresses whom she could emulate. She had wanted to be famous since childhood but felt unattractive and untalented, later commenting, "I couldn't think of anything that I could do. I didn't think I'd be a singer or dancer. I just thought, well, I'll be famous. That was my goal." In 1961, Holt married bank manager Gilbert Lapierre, who adopted Cher under the name Cheryl Lapierre and Georgianne, and enrolled them at Montclair College Preparatory School, a private school in Encino, whose students were mostly from affluent families. The school's upper-class environment presented a challenge for Cher. Biographer Connie Berman wrote, "She stood out from the others in both her striking appearance and outgoing personality." A former classmate commented, "I'll never forget seeing Cher for the first time. She was so special. She was like a movie star right then and there. She said she was going to be a movie star, and we knew she would." Despite not being an excellent student, Cher was intelligent and creative, according to Berman. She earned high grades, excelling in French and English classes. As an adult, she discovered that she had dyslexia. Cher's unconventional behavior stood out. She performed songs for students during the lunch hours and surprised peers when she wore a midriff-bearing top. She later recalled, "I was never really in school. I was always thinking about when I was grown up and famous." Artistry. Music and voice. Believe, 1998. Duration, 16 seconds. 0 to 16. Believe features pioneering use of auto-tune to distort Cher's vocals, also known as the Cher effect. Believe without auto-tune. Duration, 15 seconds. 0 to 15. For comparison, auto-tune is not applied in this section. Problems playing these files? See Media Help. Cher has employed various musical styles, including folk rock, pop rock, power ballads, disco, new wave music, rock music, punk rock, arena rock, and hip-hop. She said she has done this to remain relevant and do work that strikes a chord. Her music has mainly dealt with themes of heartbreak, independence, and self-empowerment for women. By doing so, she became a broken-hearted symbol of a strong but decidedly single woman, according to Out Magazine's Judy Weeder, Goldmine Magazine's Phil Martyr credited Cher's nearly flawless song selection as what made her a notorious rock singer. While several of her early songs were penned by or sung with Sonny Bono, most of her solo successes, which outnumbered Sonny and Cher's successes, were composed by independent songwriters, selected by Cher, not commercial. 2000, Cher's first album, mostly written by herself, presents a 1970s singer-songwriter feel that proves Cher adept in the role of storyteller, according to AllMusic's Jose F. Promiz. Robert Hilburn of the Los Angeles Times writes, "There were a lot of great records by female singers in the early days of rock. None, however, reflected the authority and command that we associate with rock and roll today as much as Cher's key early hits." Some of Cher's early songs discuss subjects rarely addressed in American popular music, such as divorce, prostitution, unplanned and underaged pregnancy, and racism, according to AllMusic's Joe Viglione. The 1972 single The Way of Love is either about a woman expressing her love for another woman, or a woman saying au revoir to a gay male she loved. What will you do / when he sets you free / just the way that you / said goodbye to me. Her ability to carry both male and female ranges allowed her to sing solo in androgynous and gender-neutral songs. Cher has a contralto singing voice, described by author Nicholas E. Tawa as bold, deep, and with a spacious vibrato, and Powers of the New York Times called it a quintessential rock voice, impure, quirky, a fine vehicle for projecting personality. AllMusic's Bruce Eder wrote that the tremendous intensity and passion of Cher's vocals, coupled with her ability to meld that projection with her acting skills, can provide an incredibly powerful experience for the listener. The Guardian's Laura Snapes described her voice as miraculous, capable of conveying vulnerability, vengeance, and pain all at once. Paul Simpson, in his book The Rough Guide to Cult Pop, 2003, posits that Cher the possessor of one of the huskiest, most distinctive voices in pop, which can work wonders with the right material directed by the right producer. He further addresses the believability of her vocal performances. She spits out the words with such conviction you'd think she was delivering an eternal truth about the human condition. Writing about Cher's musical output during the 1960s, Robert Hilburn of the Los Angeles Times stated that rock was subsequently blessed with the staggering blues exclamations of Janis Joplin in the late 60s and the raw poetic force of Patti Smith in the mid-70s. Yet no one matched the pure, seductive wallop of Cher. By contrast, her vocal performances during the 1970s were described by Eder as dramatic, highly intense, and almost as much acted as sung. First heard in the 1980 record Black Rose, Cher employed sharper, more aggressive vocals on her hard rock-oriented albums, establishing her sexually confident image. For the 1995 album It's a Man's World, she restrained her vocals, singing in higher registers and without vibrato. 150. The 1998 song Believe has an electronic vocal effect proposed by Cher, and was the first commercial recording to feature auto-tune, an audio processor originally intended to disguise or correct off-key inaccuracies in vocal music recordings as a deliberate creative effect. According to Rolling Stone's Christopher R. Weingarten, the producers used the pitch correction software not as a way to fix mistakes in Cher's iconic voice, but as an aesthetic tool. After the success of the song, the technique became known as the Cher effect and has since been widely used in popular music. Cher continued to use autotune on the albums Living Proof, 2001, Closer to the Truth, 2013, and Dancing Queen, 2018. In a 2013 interview with the Toronto Sun, Cher reflected on how her voice has evolved throughout her career, becoming stronger and suppler over the years. She said working with vocal coaches had made a significant difference. It's so freaky because people my age are having to lose notes and I'm gaining notes, so that's pretty shocking. Films, videos, and stage. See also, Cher filmography and Cher videography. Cher performing during the Dress to Kill tour in April 2014. Maclean's Magazine's Barbara Wickens wrote, Cher has emerged as probably the most fascinating movie star of her generation, because she has managed to be at once boldly shocking and ultimately enigmatic. New York Post movie critic David Edelstein attributes Cher's top-ranking star quality to her ability of projecting honesty, rawness, and emotionality. She wears her vulnerability on her sleeve. Jeff Yarbrough of The Advocate wrote that Cher was one of the first superstars to play gay with compassion and without a hint of stereotyping, as she portrays a lesbian in the 1983 film Silkwood. Author Yvonne Tasker, in her book Working Girls, Gender and Sexuality in Popular Cinema, 2002, notes that Cher's film roles often mirrors her public image as a rebellious, sexually autonomous, and self-made woman. In her films, she recurrently serves as a social intermediary to disenfranchised male characters, such as Eric Stoltz's craniodiaphyseal dysplasia character in Mask, 1985, Liam Neeson's mute homeless veteran in Suspect, 1987, and Nicolas Cage's socially isolated baker with a wooden hand in Moonstruck, 1987. Film critic Kathleen Rowe wrote of Moonstruck that the depiction of Cher's character as a woman on top is enhanced by the unruly star persona Cher brings to the part. For Moonstruck, Cher was ranked first on Billboard's list of the 100 best acting performances by musicians in movies, and her performance was described as the standard by which you mentally check all others. Moonstruck was acknowledged by the American Film Institute as the 8th best romantic comedy film of all time. Cher's public image is also reflected in her music videos and live performances, in which she repeatedly comments on her own construction, on her search for perfection, and on the performance of the female body, wrote Tasker. Unlike other acts of that time, who often featured female backers mimicking the singer's performance, Cher uses a male dancer dressed as her in the 1992 concert video Cher at the Mirage. Author Diane Negra commented, in authorizing her own quotation, Cher acknowledges herself as fictionalized production, and proffers to her audience a pleasurable plurality. James Sullivan of the San Francisco Chronicle wrote that Cher is well aware that her chameleonic glitz set the stage for the current era of stadium-size razzle-dazzle. She's comfortable enough to see such imitation as flattery, not theft. American singer Pink, who is recognized by her acrobatic stage presence, started studying aerial silks after watching Cher's Living Proof, the farewell tour in 2004. Cher was ranked 17th on VH1's list of the 50 greatest women of the video era. The 1980 video for Hell on Wheels involved cinematic techniques and was one of the first music videos ever deemed controversial for her performance on the battleship USS Missouri, straddling a cannon and wearing a leather thong that revealed her tattooed buttocks. The 1989 music video for If I Could Turn Back Time was the first ever to be banned by MTV. Public image. Fashion. Cher exposing her navel for a scene from an Egyptian soap opera skit on The Sonny and Cher Show, 1977. Time magazine's Katie Lang described Cher as a cultural phenomenon who has forever changed the way we see celebrity fashion. Cher emerged as a fashion trendsetter in the 1960s, popularizing hippie fashion with bell-bottoms, bandanas, and Cherokee-inspired tunics. She began working as a model in 1967 for photographer Richard Avedon after then Vogue magazine editor Diana Vreeland discovered her at a party for Jacqueline Kennedy that year. Avedon took the controversial photo of Cher in a beaded and feathered nude gown designed by Bob Mackie for the cover of Time magazine in 1975. Billboard magazine's Brooke Mazurek described it as one of the most recreated and monumental looks of all time. Cher first wore the gown to the 1974 Met Gala. According to Vogue magazine's Andre Leon Talley, it was really the first time a Hollywood celebrity attended, and it changed everything. We are still seeing versions of that look on the Met red carpet 40 years later. Billboard wrote that Cher has transformed fashion and become one of the most influential style icons in red carpet history. Through her 1970s television shows, Cher became a sex symbol with her inventive and revealing Mackie-designed outfits, and fought the network censors to bare her navel, although Cher has been erroneously attributed to being the first woman to expose her navel on television, e.g. Nichelle Nichols, Barbara Luna and Diana Ewing in the 1960s TV series Star Trek. She was the most prominent to do so since the establishment of the American Code of Practices for Television Broadcasters in 1951, which prompted network censors to ban navel exposure on U.S. television. People dubbed Cher the pioneer of the belly beautiful. In 1972, after she was featured on the annual Best Dressed Women lists, Mackie stated, "There hasn't been a girl like Cher since Dietrich and Garbo. She's a high fashion star who appeals to people of all ages." In May 1999, after the Council of Fashion Designers of America recognized Cher with an award for her influence on fashion, Robin Given of the Los Angeles Times called her a fashion visionary for striking just the right note of contemporary wretched excess. Given referenced Tom Ford, Anna Sui and Dolce & Gabbana as influential designers who have evoked her name as a source of inspiration and guidance. She concluded that Cher's Native American showgirl sexbot persona now seems to epitomize the fashion industry's rush to celebrate ethnicity, adornment, and sex appeal. Vogue proclaimed Cher their favorite fashion trendsetter and wrote that she set the grounds for pop stars and celebrities today, describing her as eternally relevant and the ruler of a tray reinvention. Alexander Fury of The Independent lauded Cher as the ultimate fashion icon and traced her influence among female celebrities such as Beyoncé, Jennifer Lopez, and Kim Kardashian, stating that Hey all graduated from the Cher school of never sharing the stage with anyone or anything. They're trying to share the spotlight to have Cher's success. Physical appearance. Cher with black curly hair, wearing a white dress. 1970s publicity photo of Cher. Cher has attracted media attention for her physical appearance, particularly her youthful looks and her tattoos. Patty Calistro of the Los Angeles Times observed that during Cher's rise as a movie star in the 1980s, her highly articulated bone structure captured audience attention, which led to an increased number of medical requests for surgically inserted cheekbones. Journalists have often called Cher the poster girl of plastic surgery. Author Grant McCracken, in his book Transformations, Identity Construction in Contemporary Culture, 2008, draws a parallel between Cher's plastic surgeries and the transformations in her career. Her plastic surgery is not merely cosmetic. It is hyperbolic, extreme, over the top. Cher has engaged in a transformational technology that is dramatic and irreversible. Caroline Ramazanoglu, author of Up Against Foucault, Explorations of Some Tensions Between Foucault and Feminism, 1993, wrote that Cher's operations have gradually replaced a strong, decidedly ethnic look with a more symmetrical, delicate, conventional, and ever-youthful version of female beauty. Her normalized image now acts as a standard against which other women will measure, judge, discipline, and correct themselves. Cher has 6 tattoos. The Baltimore Sun called her the Ms. Original Rose Tattoo. She got her first tattoo in 1972. According to Sonny Bono, calling her butterfly tattoos nothing was like ignoring a sandstorm in the Mojave. That was exactly the effect Cher wanted to create. She liked to do things for the shock they created. She still does. She'll create some controversy and then tell her critics to stick it. In the late 1990s, she began having laser treatments to remove her tattoos. The process was still underway in the 2000s. She commented, "When I got tattooed, only bad girls did it, me and Janis Joplin and biker chicks. Now it doesn't mean anything. No one's surprised." In 1992, Madame Tussauds Wax Museum honored Cher as one of the 5 most beautiful women of history by creating a life-size statue. She was ranked 26th on VH1's list of the 100 sexiest artists published in 2002. Cher was the inspiration for Mother Got Hell, a fictional character who appears in Walt Disney Pictures' animated feature film Tangled, 2010. Director Byron Howard explained that Gothel's exotic appearance, whose beauty, dark curly hair and voluptuous figure were deliberately designed to serve as a foil to Rapunzel's, was based on Cher's exotic and gothic-looking appearance, continuing that the singer definitely was one of the people we looked at visually, as far as what gives you a striking character. Social media. Cher's social media presence has drawn analysis from journalists. Time named her Twitter's most outspoken and beloved commentator. The New York Times writer Jenna Wortham commended Cher on her social media usage, stating, "Most celebrities' social media feeds feel painfully self-aware and thirsty." In her own way, Cher is an outlier, perhaps the last unreconstructed high-profile Twitter user to stand at her digital pulpit and yell, somewhat incomprehensibly, and be rewarded for it. Online, authenticity and originality are often carefully curated myths. Cher thrives on a version of nakedness and honesty that is rarely celebrated in the public eye. Monica Heisey of The Guardian described Cher's Twitter account as a jewel in the bizarro crown of the internet, and remarked, "While many celebrities use Twitter for carefully crafted self-promotion, Cher just lets it all hang out." As a gay icon. The reverence held for Cher by members of the LGBT community has been attributed to her career accomplishments, her sense of style, and her longevity. Cher is considered a gay icon, and has often been imitated by drag queens, according to Salon magazine's Thomas Rogers. Drag queens imitate women like Judy Garland, Dolly Parton and Cher because they overcame insult and hardship on their path to success, and because their narratives mirror the pain that many gay men suffer on their way out of the closet. According to Maclean's magazine's Elio Iannacci, Cher was one of the first to bring drag to the masses, as she hired 2 drag queens to perform with her at her Las Vegas residency in 1979. Cher's role as a lesbian in the film Silkwood, as well as her transition to dance music and social activism, have further contributed to her becoming a gay icon. The NBC sitcom Will and Grace acknowledged Cher's status by making her the idol of gay character Jack McFarland. Cher guest starred as herself twice on the show, in 2000 making the episode Gypsies, Tramps and Weed, named after her 1971 song Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves, Will and Grace's second highest rating ever, and 2002.as the mother of a trans man. Cher has also served as a role model for parents of transgender children. Cher has received several tributes on RuPaul's Drag Race, including Season 10's Cher, The Unauthorized Risical, and Season 16's Everything Every Cher All at Once Runway. Chad Michaels, Season 4 runner-up and All Stars 1 winner, is known for being a Cher impersonator, and received a challenge win for her performance as Cher in the Snatch Game. Other interests. Philanthropy. Cher's primary philanthropic endeavors have included support of health research and patients' quality of life, anti-poverty initiatives, veterans' rights, and vulnerable children. The Cher Charitable Foundation supports international projects such as the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund, Operation Helmet, and the Children's Craniofacial Association. Cher at an AMFAR event, 2015. Children. Beginning in 1990, Cher served as a donor and as the national chairperson and honorary spokesperson for the Children's Craniofacial Association, whose mission is to empower and give hope to facially disfigured children and their families. The annual Cher's Family Retreat is held each June to provide craniofacial patients, their siblings, and parents an opportunity to interact with others who have endured similar experiences. She supports and promotes Get a Head Charitable Trust, which aims to improve the quality of life for people with head and neck diseases. Cher is a donor, fundraiser, and international spokesperson for Keep a Child Alive, an organization that seeks to accelerate action to combat the AIDS pandemic, including the provision of antiretroviral medicine to children and their families with HIV/AIDS. In 1996, she hosted the American Foundation for AIDS Research, AMFAR. Benefit alongside Elizabeth Taylor at the Cannes Film Festival. In 2015, she received the AMFAR Award of Inspiration for her willingness and ability to use her fame for the greater good and for being one of the great champions in the fight against AIDS. In 2007, Cher became the primary supporter of the Peace Village School, PVS, in Ukunda, Kenya, which provides nutritious food, medical care, education and extracurricular activities for more than 300 orphans and vulnerable children, ages 2 to 13 years. Her support enabled the school to acquire land and build permanent housing and school facilities, and in partnership with Malaria No More and other organizations, she piloted an effort to eliminate malaria mortality and morbidity for the children, their caregivers, and the surrounding community. Soldiers and veterans. Cher has been a vocal supporter of American soldiers and returning veterans. She has contributed resources to Operation Helmet, an organization that provides free helmet upgrade kits to troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. She has contributed to the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund, which serves military personnel who have been disabled in operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, and those severely injured in other operations. In 1993, she participated in a humanitarian effort in Armenia, taking food and medical supplies to the war-torn region. Poverty. Cher has engaged in the construction of houses with Habitat for Humanity and served as the honorary national chair of a Habitat's Elimination of Poverty housing initiative Raise the Roof, an effort to engage artists in the organization's work while on tour. Environment. In 2016, after the discovery of lead contamination in the drinking water of Flint, Michigan, Cher donated more than 180,000 bottles of water to the city as part of a partnership with Icelandic Glacial. Elder rights. In 2017, Cher weighed in on the need to protect elder rights as she executive produced Edith plus Eddie, a documentary about a nonagenarian interracial couple. It received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Documentary, Short Subject. COVID-19. Following the COVID-19 outbreak in 2020, Cher launched the Cher Cares Pandemic Resource and Response Initiative, CCPRI, alongside Dr. Erwin Redliner, the head of Columbia University's Pandemic Resource and Response Center. The charity's initial plan is to distribute $1 million to chronically neglected and forgotten people during the pandemic through the Entertainment Industry Foundation, EAF. Cher told Billboard, "There are rural areas where people of color and Latinos and Native Americans were getting no services. It's not a lot of money. $1 million goes in the blink of an eyelash. So now I'm trying to get my friends to make it a lot more so we can do something that will really meet people's needs. A friend once told me, when people walk in your path, then you know what you have to do." Animal rights. In November 2020, Cher joined For Paws International and traveled to Pakistan to advocate for and work with the country's government to have Kavan, an elephant who had been confined to a zoo for 35 years, transferred to a wildlife sanctuary in Cambodia. In April 2021, Paramount Plus released the documentary film Cher and the Loneliest Elephant, detailing Cher's quest, alongside animal aid groups and veterinarians, to free Coven from confinement. LGBT rights. Cher's older child, Chaz Bono, first came out as a lesbian at age 17, which reportedly caused Cher to feel guilt, fear, and pain. However, she soon came to accept Chaz's sexual orientation and came to the conclusion that LGBT people didn't have the same rights as everyone else, and she thought that was unfair. She was the keynote speaker for the 1997 National Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays (PFLAG) convention, and has since become one of the LGBT community's most vocal advocates. In May 1998, she received the GLAAD Vanguard Award for having made a significant difference in promoting equal rights for lesbians and gay men. On June 11, 2009, Chaz came out as a transgender man, and his transition from female to male was legally finalized on May 6, 2010. Politics. Cher during her July 12, 2006, visit at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center, Germany, which treats injured U.S. military personnel serving in Afghanistan and Iraq. Cher has said that she is not a registered Democrat, but has attended many Democratic conventions and events. Over the years, Cher's political views have attracted media attention, and she has been an outspoken critic of the conservative movement. In an interview with Vanity Fair, she was critical of a variety of political topics, including Republican politicians like Sarah Palin and Jan Brewer. She has commented that she did not understand why anyone would be a Republican because 8 years under the administration of George W. Bush almost killed her. During the 2000 United States presidential election, ABC News wrote that she was determined to do whatever possible to keep him, Bush, out of office. She told the site, "If you're black in this country, if you're a woman in this country, if you are any minority in this country at all, what could possibly possess you to vote Republican? You won't have one fucking right left." She added, "I don't like Bush. I don't trust him. I don't like his record. He's stupid. He's lazy." On October 27, 2003, Cher anonymously called a C-SPAN phone-in program to recount a visit she made to maimed soldiers at the Walter Reed Army Medical Center and criticized the lack of media coverage and government attention given to injured servicemen. She remarked that she watches C-SPAN every day. Although she identified herself as an unnamed entertainer, she was recognized by the C-SPAN host, who subsequently questioned her about her 1992 support for independent presidential candidate Ross Perot. She said, "When I heard him talk right in the beginning, I thought that he would bring some sort of common-sense business approach and also less partisanship, but then I was completely disappointed like everyone else when he just kind of cut and run and no one knew exactly why. Maybe he couldn't have withstood all the investigation that goes on now." On Memorial Day weekend in 2006, Cher called into C-SPAN's Washington Journal endorsing Operation Helmet, a group that provides helmets to help soldiers avoid head injuries while in the war zone. On June 14, 2006, she made a guest appearance on C-SPAN with Dr. Bob Metters, the founder of Operation Helmet. That year, in an interview with Stars and Stripes, she explained her against the war in Iraq, but for the troops' position, "I don't have to be for this war to support the troops because these men and women do what they think is right. They do what they're told to do. They do it with a really good heart. They do the best they can. They don't ask for anything." Cher speaking with the media at an early voting center at Fowler Elementary School District in October 2020. Cher supported Hillary Clinton in her 2008 presidential campaign. After Obama won the Democratic nomination, she supported his candidacy on radio and TV programs. However, in a 2010 interview with Vanity Fair, she commented that she still thinks Hillary would have done a better job, although she accepts the fact that Barack Obama inherited insurmountable problems. During the 2012 United States presidential election, Cher and comedian Kathy Griffin released a public service announcement titled, "Don't Let Mitt Turn Back Time on Women's Rights." In the PSA, the pair criticized Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney for his support of Richard Murdoch, the U.S. Senate candidate who suggested that pregnancies resulting from rape were part of God's plan. In September 2013, Cher declined an invitation to perform at the 2014 Winter Olympics opening ceremony in Russia due to the country's controversial anti-gay legislation that overshadowed preparations for the event. In June 2015, after Donald Trump announced his candidacy for president, she made a series of critical comments on Twitter. stating that Donald Trump's punishment is being Donald Trump. In October 2018, after the victory in Brazil's presidential election of right-wing populist Jair Bolsonaro, Cher called him a pig and a politician from hell, before declaring that Bolsonaro should be locked in prison for the rest of his life. In 2016, Cher publicly endorsed global recognition of the Armenian genocide. At the premiere for the film The Promise, she stated that people don't know about the genocide, and the Turks have never admitted it, and it's very important, before alluding to the Obersalzberg speech and the contested line, who, after all, speaks today of the annihilation of the Armenians, as well as her own Armenian roots and her grandparents' survival of the genocide. In 2021, she congratulated Joe Biden on Twitter for being the first U.S. president to formally acknowledge the Armenian genocide. In September 2020, Cher raised nearly $2 million for Biden's presidential campaign at a virtual, LGBTQ-themed fundraiser. In October, she traveled to Nevada and Arizona to campaign on behalf of Biden, and released a cover version of Happiness Is Just a Thing Called Joe, a song conceived for the 1943 musical film Cabin in the Sky, with lyrics updated to be about Biden. The same month, Cher posted messages on Twitter in support of Armenia and Artsakh regarding the Nagorno-Karabakh War. She stated, "We stand with the people of Armenia, and urge our leaders in Washington to conduct the sustained and rigorous diplomacy necessary to bring peace to the Artsakh region." In 2022, after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, she publicly supported Ukraine. In her Twitter account, Cher repeatedly raised the issue of the war in Ukraine, calling for aid to Ukrainians. On March 18, the singer announced that she would shelter Ukrainian refugees in her home. Earlier, on February 23, Cher called Putin a despot who is ready to restore the Soviet Union. Legacy. Cher is commonly referred to by the media as the goddess of pop. Rolling Stone's Rob Sheffield stated how there are no other careers remotely like hers, particularly in the history of pop music, and referred to Cher as the one-woman embodiment of the whole gaudy story of pop music. According to Goldmine magazine's Phil Martyr, Cher has been and remains today one of the rock era's most dominant figures. He described her as the leader of an effort in the 1960s to advance feminine rebellion in the rock world, and the prototype of the female rock star, setting the standard for appearance, from her early hippie days to her later outlandish outfits, and her attitude the perfect female punk long before punk even was a rock term. Billboard's Joe Lynch described Cher as a woman who pioneered an androgynous musical identity in the mid-60s, and who by doing so teed things up for people like Bowie and Patti Smith. Billboard's Keith Caulfield wrote that there's divas, and then there's Cher. The New York Times' Matthew Schneier stated, Cher has earned her mononym. Her star power is such that she has spawned an entire industry of imitators, both figurative and literal. Dazed magazine's Sean Fay elaborates, if Madonna and Lady Gaga and Kylie and Cyndi Lauper were playing football, Cher would be the stadium they played on, and the sun that shone down on them. According to Jeff Myers from the Buffalo News, her music has changed with the times over the decades, rather than changing those times through groundbreaking work. However, he felt that subsequent female pop singers were heavily inspired by Cher's abilities to combine showmanship with deep musicality, to make valid statements in a wide variety of trend-driven idioms, to ease effortlessly between pop subgenres, to shock without alienating her fans, as well as by her charismatic stage presence and the strong LGBT support among her fan base. Wax figure of Cher draped in a recreation of the outfit she wore to the 60th Academy Awards in 1988. Cher has repeatedly reinvented herself through various personas, for which Professor Richard Aquila from Ball State University called her the ultimate pop chameleon. According to Entertainment Weekly's Mark Snedeker, Cher has floated through generation after generation, scooping up new fans, thrilling old ones, reinventing her own myth, and glittering splendidly through it all. Billboard magazine's Brooke Mazurek credited Cher as having revolutionized the idea of what a pop star could visually accomplish, the way they could create multiple personas that live on and off stage. James Reed from the Boston Globe elaborates, along with David Bowie, she is one of the original chameleons in pop music, constantly in flux and challenging our perceptions of her. The New York Times declared Cher as the queen of the comeback. According to author Lucy O'Brien, Cher adheres to the American dream of reinvention of self. Getting old does not have to mean getting obsolete. Author Craig Crawford, in his book The Politics of Life, 25 Rules for Survival in a Brutal and Manipulative World, 2007, describes Cher as a model of flexible career management and relates her career successes to a constant reshaping of her image according to the evolving trends of popular culture. He further explains that she billed each dramatic turnaround of style as another example of rebellion in image that allowed her to make calculated changes while appearing to be consistent. Author Grant McCracken stated, "The term reinvention is now often used to talk about the careers of American celebrities. But in Cher's case, it is particularly apt because she is inclined to lock onto each new fashion wave and is swept violently down the diffusion stream and out of fashion. Only substantial recreation permits her to return to stardom." Her integrity and perseverance are highlighted in the Reaching Your Goals book series of illustrated inspirational stories for children, in which her life is detailed, emphasizing the importance of self-actualization. For years, Cher worked hard to become a successful singer. Then she worked hard to become an actress. Even when she needed money, she turned down movie roles that weren't right for her. Her goal has always been to be a good actress, not just a rich and famous one. Cher's ability to forge an immensely successful and lengthy career as a woman in a male-dominated entertainment world has drawn attention from feminist critics. According to author Diane Negra, Cher was presented in the beginning of her career as a product of male creativity. Cher remembers, "It was a time when girl singers were patted on the head for being good and told not to think." However, her image eventually changed due to her refusal of dependence on a man and the determination not only to forge a career as an actor on her own terms, but to refuse the conventional role assigned to women over 40 years old in an industry that fetishizes youth, wrote author Yvonne Tasker. She was featured in the 16th anniversary edition of Ms. Magazine as an authentic feminist hero and a 1980s role model for women. Cher, the straightforward, tattooed, dyslexic single mother, the first Oscar winner to have entered into matrimony with a known heroin addict and to have admitted to being a fashion victim by choice, has finally landed in an era that's not afraid to applaud real women. Stephanie Brush from the New York Times wrote, following the telecast of Cher's Oscar win in 1988, that she performs the function for women moviegoers that Jack Nicholson has always fulfilled for men. Free of the burden of ever having been America's sweetheart, she is the one who represents us, women, in our revenge fantasies, telling all the fatheads exactly where they can go. You need to be more than beautiful to get away with this. You need to have been Cher for 40 years. Cher's 1996 interview for Dateline NBC's Jane Pauley became a viral video in 2016. In it, Cher tells the story of her mother asking her to settle down and marry a rich man, to which Cher replies, "Mom, I am a rich man." Cher's "Mom, I am a rich man" quote was included in Taylor Swift's 2019 music video You Need to Calm Down. Bustle magazine's Erica Kem commented, Cher's quote puts a spin on typical gender norms. It would make sense, then, that Swift would want to follow Cher's example. Alec Mappa of The Advocate elaborates, while the rest of us were sleeping, Cher's been out there for the last 4 decades living out every single one of our childhood fantasies. Cher embodies an unapologetic freedom and fearlessness that some of us can only aspire to. Rolling Stone's Jancy Dunn wrote, Cher is the coolest woman who ever stood in shoes. Why? Because her motto is, I don't give a shit what you think, I'm going to wear this multicolored wig. There are folks all over America who would, in their heart of hearts, love to date people half their age, get multiple tattoos and wear feathered headdresses. Cher does it for us. Alexander Fury of The Independent wrote that Cher represents a seemingly immortal, omnipotent, uni-monikered level of fame. Biko stated, no one in the history of show business has had a career of the magnitude and scope of Cher's. She has been a teenage pop star, a television hostess, a fashion magazine model, a rock star, a pop singer, a Broadway actress, an Academy Award-winning movie star, a disco sensation, and the subject of a mountain of press coverage. Lynch wrote that the world would certainly be different if she hadn't stayed so irrevocably Cher from the start. Achievements. See also, list of awards and nominations received by Cher. Sonny and Cher's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. As a solo artist, Cher has sold 100 million records worldwide, making her one of the best-selling music artists of all time. She is one of the few artists to win 3 of the 4 major American entertainment awards, e.g. Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony, and one of 5 actor-singers to have had a U.S. #1 single and won an Acting Academy Award. Her breakthrough single, Sonny and Cher's I Got You Babe is a Grammy Hall of Fame inductee and was featured on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time list compiled in 2003. Her 1971 single Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves was called one of the 20th century's greatest songs by Billboard magazine. Her 1998 song Believe is the biggest-selling single of all time by a female artist in the UK. It was voted the world's 8th favorite song in a poll conducted by BBC in 2003, the only American song to be named on the list. Believe was placed on the 2021 revised list of Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. In 1988, Cher became the first performer to receive an Academy Award for acting and a RIAA-certified Gold album in the same year since the inception of Gold Awards in 1958. Cher is the only solo artist to have a #1 single on a Billboard chart in 7 consecutive decades, from the 1960s to the 2020s. She held the previous U.S. record for Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles over the longest period of time in history, 33 years, 7 months and 3 weeks between I Got You Babe, which topped the chart for the first time on August 14, 1965, and Believe, whose last week at #1 was April 3, 1999. With Believe, she became the oldest female artist at the time to have a U.S. #1 song in the rock era, at the age of 52. Billboard ranked her at number 43 on their Greatest Hot 100 Artists of All Time list. In 2014, the magazine listed her as the 23rd highest-grossing touring act since 1990, with total earned revenue of $351.6 million and 4.5 million attendance at her shows. Cher has received numerous honorary awards, including the 1985 Woman of the Year Award by the Hasty Pudding Theatrical Society at Harvard University, the Vanguard Award at the 1998 GLAAD Media Awards, the Legend Award at the 1999 World Music Awards, a Special Award for Influence on Fashion at the 1999 CFDA Fashion Awards, the Lucy Award for Innovation in Television at the 2000 Women in Film Awards, the Artist Achievement Award at the 2002 Billboard Music Awards, the Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2010 Glamour Awards, the Legend Award at the 2013 Attitude Awards, the Award of Inspiration at the 2015 AMF Era Gala, the Icon Award at the 2017 Billboard Music Awards, the 2018 Kennedy Center Honor the Ambassador for the Arts Award at the 2019 Chita Rivera Awards for Dance and Choreography, and the 2020 Spirit of Katharine Hepburn Award. In 2010, Cher received the honor of placing her handprints and footprints in cement in the courtyard in front of Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. Her name is on a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame as part of the duo Sonny and Cher. She had also been selected for the honor as a solo artist in 1983, but forfeited her opportunity by declining to schedule the mandatory personal appearance. In 2018, comedian Whoopi Goldberg presented her Kennedy Center Honors, the highest recognition of cultural achievement in the U.S. In 2024, Cher was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 2003, Cher appeared at number 41 on VH1's list of the 200 greatest pop culture icons, which recognizes the folks that have significantly inspired and impacted American society. She was ranked 31st on VH1's list of the 100 greatest women in music for the period 1992. 2012. Esquire magazine placed her at number 44 on their list of the 75 greatest women of all time. She was featured on the 100 greatest movie stars of our time list compiled by People. In a 2001 poll, Biography magazine ranked her as their third favorite leading actress of all time, behind Audrey Hepburn and Katharine Hepburn.